Well, guys, in today's video, we'll be learning how to convert numbers from base 10 to base 2. Let's get right into it. So we have four examples here that we'll be using to learn this conversion. We have two whole numbers and we have two decimal fractions. So let's see how to do the conversion from each of these numbers. Let's start with the first example. We have 18. So to convert a number from base 10 to base 2, what you have to do is to continue dividing that number by 2. We're going to write the answer of our division as well as the remainder. So let's start. 18 divided by 2, that's going to give us 9, remainder 0. Remember to do this division however you are comfortable with it. So if that means you have to go to the side or go to your rough sheet to perform the division of 18 by 2, go ahead. The most important thing is that you get the correct answer. So then again, we divide 9 by 2. 9 divided by 2 is going to give us 4, remainder 1. We divide 4 by 2 again. 4 divided by 2 will give us 2, remainder 0. And then we divide 2 by 2. Remember, it's a repeated division by 2. 2 divided by 2 will give us 1, remainder 0. And then we divide 1 by 2. 1 divided by 2. Of course, 1 is smaller than 2, so it means that the result of this division is going to be 0. And then we write remainder 1. So in conversion from base 10 to base 2, what we're going to be looking at are these remainders that we have written and not the whole part of the division. And this is something you must take note of, is that when you do your divisions, to take your answers, please remember to take from down to up. In this direction, I'm just going to use an arrow to show you that don't start from the first number here, start from the last one and work your way up. So we're going to say, so therefore 18, this is in base 10, is equal to 1, 0, 0, 1, 0 in base 2. So we went from down to up. 1, 0, 0, 1, 0. And of course, we're going to write subscript 2 to indicate that this is a number in base 2. So that's how to perform conversion from base 10 to base 2. Let's go ahead and look at our second example, which is 84. We'll be following the same process like we did in the first example just now. I'm writing 84 here, and we're going to perform repeated division on 84. 84 divided by 2 will give us 42, remainder 0. So you may have noticed that every time you are dividing an even number, you're going to get remainder 0. But if it's an odd number, you get remainder 1. So 42 again divided by 2, we're going to get 21, remainder 0. For 21 divided by 2, we're going to get 10, remainder 1. 10 divided by 2 will give us 5, remainder 0. 5 divided by 2 will give us 2, remainder 1. I'm going to extend this line down a bit. And then we'll do 2 divided by 2, which will give us 1, remainder 0. And then finally we'll do 1 divided by 2. Anytime you get to 1 and you divide it by 2, just know you're going to get 0 and remainder 1. And when you get to 0, you can stop. Also, remember that we take our answers from bottom to top. Don't forget that. We're going to say, so therefore, 84 is equal to, from the bottom here, we're going to have 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0 in base 2. So that's the equivalent of 84 in base 2. And I'm sure that has explained how to convert whole numbers from base 10 to base 2. Let's look at the next examples where we'll be learning how to convert decimal fractions from base 10 to base 2. And we have the first example here, 11.25. So in 11.25, remember that we have the whole number part as well as a fractional part. The whole number part is 11 and the fractional part is 0.25. So we're going to handle the both of them differently and then we'll get to combine our answers. So for the whole number part, we're going to handle it the same way we just did previous two examples. We'll perform repeated division of 11 and then store our answers as well as our remainders. 11 divided by 2 will give us 5 remainder 1. 5 divided by 2 will be 2 remainder 1. 2 divided by 2 will be 1 remainder 0. And 1 divided by 2 will give us 0 remainder 1. Now remember that we will take our answers in this direction from down to up. So this is the result of our conversion of the whole number part. We're just going to leave this aside and then we'll go handle our fractional part. The fractional part is 0.25. Now, for the whole part, we are dividing by 2. What we'll do with the fractional part is to multiply by 2. So we do the opposite. So I'm going to say 0.25 times 2. This will give me 0.50, which is the same thing as 0.5. So it's okay to just write 0.5. Now for the fractional part, what we're going to do is that we'll be storing the integer. I'm using I for integer. So in 0.50, which is our result of the multiplication, the integer part here is 0. So I'm going to store that. And then I will continue repeated multiplication of the fractional part. The fractional part in this case is 0.50, or we can simply use 0.5. So I'm going to repeat that multiplication for 0.5. That is the fractional part of our result of the first multiplication. So when I say 0.5 times 2, it would give me 1.0. If you want 1.00, the same thing. And then in 1.0, our integer part or our whole part is 1. Remember, I'm storing integers, so I'm going to write I equals to 1. Now we'll look at our fractional part or our decimal part again, and we have 0. When you arrive at 0, you stop. If we had another number here apart from 0, we're going to bring it down again and continue multiplying it until we have arrived at 0 at the fractional part, and then we stop. Now look at the contrast here. For the whole number part, you're doing repeated division. For the fractional part, you're doing repeated multiplication. Also, for the whole number part, you write out the remainders from down to up. But for the fractional part or the decimal part, you're writing out the integers, the whole part, and you write that from up to down in this direction. So those are 3 things that you should bear in mind. Whole number part is repeated division. Fractional part is repeated multiplication. In the whole number part, we are interested in our remainders, while in the fractional part, we are interested in the integer or the whole number part of our result. Also, in the whole number part, we write out these remainders from down to up, but in the fractional part, we write out the integers from up to down. So let's go ahead and combine these answers to get our final answer. What this means is that 11.25 is equal to, we have 1011 points. So 1011, this is coming from our result of converting 11 to base 2. And then we'll write 0, 1 base 2. And 0, 1 came from the integers of our repeated multiplication. And there you have it. 11.25 is equal to 1011.01 in base 2. Let's go ahead and look at our last example on this conversion. We also have a decimal fraction here, which is 45.375. And we'll be handling it just like we did the example we just finished. So we'll take 45, the whole number part, and we'll convert it to base 2 by performing our repeated division. 45 divided by 2 will be 22 remainder 1. 22 divided by 2 will be 11 remainder 0. 11 divided by 2 will give us 5 remainder 1. 5 divided by 2 will give us 2 remainder 1. 2 divided by 2 will give us 1 remainder 0. And 1 divided by 2 will give us 0 remainder 1. And you know that at this point we can stop. And I'm going to draw this line here to indicate that we take our answers in this direction from down to up. So now let's go ahead and handle the fractional part. For this number, our fractional part is 0.375. And remember, what we're going to be doing is to perform repeated multiplication by 2. So 0.375 multiplied by 2 will give us 0.75. It gives us 0.750, but 0 after a decimal point does not count. As long as there's no other number behind it, you can do well to remove the 0. So 0.75, 0.750, they mean the same thing. So I'm going to take 0.75. So just like I explained before, we are interested in the integer part of this result. So I will store the integer with I. I'm going to say I is equals to 0. Also remember that you can perform this multiplication on the side. I'm tempted to just do that multiplication to show you how we arrived at the answer. So I'm going to come down here and say 0.375 multiplied by 2. 2 times 5 is 10, so we're going to write 0 and carry 1. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1, that's 15. So 5 and carry 1. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. With our decimal point, and 2 times 0 is 0. So that's how we arrive at 0.750. And like I said, as long as there's no other number after this 0 here, do it to remove it if you want and write 0.75. But it's okay if you still write 0.75. That's not a problem at all. Now we've taken our integer part of the result. If you look at the decimal part, we still have digits here. We have 0.75 in the decimal part. So we are going to perform another multiplication here. So I'll write 0.75 and we'll multiply that by 2. Now, if you can't multiply this just straight up, go ahead and go to the rough corner and multiply this like we just did. Well, the result of this is going to give us 1.5. Get 1.50. You can write that as 1.5 or 1.50. That's fine. And of course, we're interested in the integer part. The integer part here is 1. So I'm going to go ahead and store my integer here as 1. And then we take our fractional part. The fractional part here is 0.5. So I'm going to write it here as 0.5. We've left the integer aside, we've taken the fractional part, and I'm going to multiply this by 2. So 0.5 times 2 will give me 1.0. So I'm going to take the integer part here and store that as I equals to 1. Now you look at the decimal part, what do we have? We have a 0, so there's no need to multiply that again. We are done. And just like I said before, in the whole number part, the answers go from down to up, but in the fractional part, we take our answers from up to down in this direction. So let's go ahead and combine the results of the two parts. We're going to say, so therefore, 45.375 is equal to, from below here, we have 10101 points, and then go from up to down here, and you have 0, 1, 1 is 2. And that's the result of our conversion from base 10 to base 2. That brings us to the end of this lesson. As always, I have a bit of classwork here for you to try. Convert the following numbers from base 10 to base 2. We've got some whole numbers here, and you also have some decimal numbers for you to try to convert from base 10 to base 2. Feel free to submit it to the email on your screen, mathswithmrspeace@gmail.com. I'll be happy to look over them and send you feedback where necessary. That's it, guys, on our lesson. Please check out our next lessons on addition, subtraction, and multiplication of numbers in base 2. Thank you, guys. Please do well to like, share, subscribe, and turn on the notification button so you will know when we've uploaded a new video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.